Do we have Steve or is he, should we get, you tell me, Caitlin, should we get started without him?
Yeah.
Okay, shall I begin? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For Steve can call in, right? Nate, are you connecting Steve? Are you waiting for him?
On the waiting.
Okay. Was he planning on coming or? Well, we'll get started and we still have to. Okay, so I call to order the July 21st meeting of the Municipal Authority. We are just back from an executive session to discuss litigation matters and other privileged matters. I'll do a roll call. Walter Virginis.
Here.
Steve Mackel.
Here.
Kevin Moyer.
Here.
Maria Kane is here. Tim Kelly is not here. He is on his way to Ireland. Okay. On that note, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next, any public comment? It doesn't appear that there's any public here this evening, so we will move on. Consider approving the minutes from the June 16, 2025 meeting. Everybody's had a chance to look at those minutes. I'll take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you, Walter.
Second.
Second from Steve. Now, any questions or comments? I think we've resolved any issues with respect to the minutes at this point. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next treasurer's report. Caitlin, were you going to give us a summary? I noticed that we've done a nice, kind of a new report is being done and included, which I thought was very helpful. Are you going to run through that or just generally?
So you're gonna find the treasury report for May and also for June,
Okay. Oh,
Look-
that's right. Okay.
and we included both months. So looking at May versus June, the operating decreased because the CDCA was paid out in June. Also, you will notice that escrow balances, they're going to increase in July as well due to more connections and replenishing existing escrow accounts to pay third parties such as McCombie. So that will increase. And we included a new report that was requested by the board, the summary report. You should have it there.
Yep.
So historically, we presented SR2 versus SR3. If you just focus on the total operating revenue, we collected 2.5 million of the budgeted 6.3 million, which is about 41% of the total budget. Moving on to the operating expenses, year to date, we have a total of 1.68 million of the budgeted 6.3 million. So that's about 26.75%. The net operating revenue through the first 6 months of this year is $900,124. Also, just note that capital, the infrastructure and tap-in fees haven't been moved over yet, and this typically occurs in the third or the fourth quarter of the year. Beyond that, you'll find a more detailed report. We're not going to go through every line item now, but that's in the packet.
Caitlin, quick question on SR3 revenue, the CDCA, that looks like it's lagging behind the revenue for SR2. Is that just a timing issue? From a percentage basis, it looks like we're 50% for half of the year
Yes.
That's
from a billing
that's-
perspective.
Mhm.
Okay.
So Also included in the treasurer's report, you'll see Portnoy totals. So far through this year, they've collected over $35,000 for us. And this month alone, it's $8,775. And lastly, you'll see the aging report through June. There's about $5,000 that's over a year now, and we're gonna look at sending that over to Portnoy as well. But overall, we're doing okay.
These, the ones that are marked inactive on there, they're for nominal amounts, but why would they be inactive?
Let's see.
I think on page 35, there's a couple, and then I just saw that and I was like,
Let me check for you.
there's addresses associated with it, but they're just marked inactive as far as the name. Halfway down on 35, Ashley Road or Media Line Road is Westchester Pike. I'm just wondering, does that mean we just can't figure out who they are at that point, or?
My pages aren't numbered the same as
Yeah, I
yours,
was
so I
gonna say,
apologize.
Like,
On your page
it should
5,
say on the bottom, Steve. Does it? have
yeah,
a
page
number?
35 it was.
Oh, 35 on
Yeah.
that, okay. Because mine's 24.
Oh, you're on page 24. Okay, so you're closer to my numbering. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't see where it says
What's the
inactive.
first address on the top?
First one is 28 Valley View Lane.
Okay.
It's on page 5 of the aging report.
I'm just trying to get
Let me look
Caitlin
for
to
it.
the right page. So Caitlin, that's gonna be your page 21.
I see that. I just don't see where it says inactive.
I think that's related to,
Left-hand column.
if it is turned over to, Portnoy to do the collection, it would go inactive until they until they finish the collection. We have to turn around and set up a new account when we turn that over to them.
I can look to confirm that for you for the next meeting, or I can send you an email to follow up to answer that question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
It is kind of weird, though. I mean.
That is
Yeah,
very
why-
strange, right in the middle of the
But
report.
Yeah, there's two of them, right?
I thought these aging reports included everything, even those that went to Portnoy, and we would just kind of put an asterisk or whatever, everything that went to Portnoy, no?
No, not Portnoy. We sent about 124,000 to Portnoy at the end of May.
Well, I agree, like if it's at Port, but Steve's saying that these that are marked inactive are at Portnoy.
I'm not sure.
That doesn't make any sense.
It
I
may
will
not
look
be.
into
Hold on
for
a
you,
second.
though.
Let me look at it again.
Okay,
Is it?
I think it's just a couple of them, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
Steve?
3. One on the next page.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to look into it. It may be, actually that it's, I don't know really for sure. I'm looking at it. I don't see a repeat. I thought it was a repeat, but it's not.
okay. Well, good pickup on that, Steve. That'd be nice to find out what that is.
Sure, I will.
Yep.
All right, anything else on the financials?
That's all that I have.
Okay.
Real quick, are we supposed to take an actual vote to confirm the agenda?
Oh, did I not? Oh, my gosh, Mike, you're slipping.
Yeah, I was thinking, and I did that, and I was like, oh, the hell with it, because this
It's
is the
just-
only place anyone does it.
Yeah, okay, all right,
It's fine.
thank you, Kevin. All right, a vote then on approving the agenda, all
So I made
those
such a stink of it, I'll move to approve.
approve the agenda,
Yeah.
very good,
Second.
okay, all those in favor?
Hi.
Aye, you're right, I just, now it's, yeah, we didn't approve.
Now it's official.
Okay.
Now we can talk about the financials again.
All right, I think we're moving on then to the engineer's report, Dave Porter.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few brief updates this evening. One within the Ashford Camelot service area. We had some ongoing coordination with property owners. One at 312 Echo Valley Lane with regard to tree removal and the recent wetland restoration plantings that were done. We were advised that some planting materials and stakes were left behind. I had my wetland biologist go out and take a look at that and remove the material, actually put the other two plant materials in the ground, remove the stakes. So that's no longer there. And we discussed about having that property line restaked. So I'll get back to the property owner there with some direction as far as, having us restake that property line. I'll let the property owner know that it's not an authority matter. It's, a private property matter. The bioxide system completion, Caitlin Sullivan had the various vendors out to the pump stations on Friday. And finally, I believe everything has been resolved, up and running. I know I had several phone calls on Friday from the bioxide vendor while Ms. Sullivan was on site, asking for some information as far as pressure of force main and some other information. So I responded and conveyed that information, and Ms. Sullivan can kind of give you the update on where things stand with completion of that system.
Thank you. Yes, I met them for the second time out at Old Masters with plumbers and electricians. And currently where we stand, our parts were ordered for the control panel modification that's needed to put the relays in. So then they'll be able to fully connect the bioxide system electrically, and we'll be able to move forward.
Have we had any complaints about odor?
No,
Wow.
That's
Have you?
amazing with this hot summer.
Is that the golf course station?
yes, Old Masters.
So just kind of to refresh the board members' memory with regard to the bioxide system. So the dosing that occurs at the golf course station, the Old Masters pump station, really benefits the folks on the discharge end of that force main. So where that line discharges in Campus Boulevard, and then the gravity system that drains down to the Camelot Lane pump station, that odor control being implemented at Old Masters and at Springton Point Estates pump stations benefit the Camelot pump station. So because there's really nobody around the Old Masters area, we didn't see it a reason to provide odor control draining to that pump station. There are other methodologies to implement. You'd have to basically dose the gravity feed to get odor control at a pump station, or do some other chemical feed at the pump station itself to eliminate odors in the wet well. So the odor control, again, being done at Old Masters, is injected into the force main, and it benefits those folks downstream.
Had no idea.
Um,
Seriously.
So if you're finished, Caitlin, I'll move on. The Westchester Pike Sanitary Sewer Repair and Replacement Project, Jurek has been awarded their contract. They were to our office to pick up their copies of the contract documents on Friday. I called to confirm receipt of those documents today with their office. The vice president who I called to speak with about scheduling the pre-construction meeting was out of the office today. I did speak with somebody else at their office. They confirmed that Mr. Dewey, Jurek, will be back in the office tomorrow morning. He will have him call me to schedule the pre-construction meeting. The goal is to have it obviously as soon as possible, with the goal of having the Westchester Pike portions of the projects implemented first. My recommendation to the authority would be to have one pre-construction meeting here at the township building, and then have several follow-up site meetings with the contractor. We'll also schedule some time with the residents on French Road and the resident at 126 Bryn Mawr Avenue, on the same day, a little bit later, just to keep them involved and in the know.
With respect to French, I was thinking, I know where, I don't know where exactly it's going to cross the three properties, I think, over there.
Yes.
And, how much, are we responsible for reconstructing whatever we tear up, I guess, after?
To a certain degree, we are, yes. There are some physical hardscaping features that were constructed within the sanitary sewer easement. The easement documentations and the agreements that we found that were recorded expressly prohibit construction of anything in that sanitary sewer easement. So we did initially meet with some of the property owners out there and advise them, hey, look, some of your patio may have to be removed. We're not necessarily obligated to replace that. We confirmed with them that we'll work with the contractor to, disassemble and stack it off to the side for them. Whether that magically ends up back in the easement, it's not for us to give them permission at this point, unless the authority is inclined to modify that easement agreement. It's part of that document. Things like driveways and lawn areas and things like that, we are obligated to restore back to pre-construction condition.
Gotcha.
Do they have a responsibility on when they need to start or a timeline for the project?
Yeah, so once we have the pre-construction meeting, we typically send a letter for notice to proceed following that pre-construction meeting. They have 5 days following that letter to start that project. Now, typically, we'll work with a contractor if they have issues with workload or scheduling or other things. We can kind of work around that timing. We can change the timing from 5 days to a couple of weeks or whatever it is. But given the desired schedule, we're going to be pushing that to get it implemented as soon as possible.
They know how much, or what the timeline is for the work itself for completion?
We did some preliminary estimating on the overall construction project, and we're probably looking at a couple of months' time. We're looking at probably a couple of weeks for each Westchester Pike location from, start to finish. Probably have a little bit of paving that comes in after the fact. The French Road and the Bryn Mawr Avenue, you're looking at no longer than a week, probably like a 3-day project there. And then French Road, you're looking at probably a week to a week and a half or something like that. So all said and done, we're looking at probably about 2 weeks time to have it completed.
Great,
Or I'm sorry, 2 months time. Not
2
weeks
months, right?
Quick update on the Luigi and Giovanni matter. The district court hearing is still scheduled for August 5th. I have not received any response to my comments on the Ebert Engineering report. That report was issued in June. I issued a draft letter for everyone's review and comment, and that was finally released on July 2nd. So as of today, I've not received any comments from the engineer in that regard. I do know that Mr. Madron and Rich Secor, Township Solicitor, have been working on the O&M agreement in this regard, which incorporates the requirements of the sewer ordinance pertaining to grease traps, as well as items that are identified in my letter comment on the Ebert report.
What's our desired outcome from where things are today with Luigi and
I
Giovanni?
think our desired outcome is always compliance, right? And, talking to, this is a township ordinance that we sort of administer the grease trap ordinance. Rich has handled the litigation, because Dave and the code enforcement officer are really the witness is the driving force behind the underlying action. We think that we have, or Rich thinks, I should say, and based on his description, I kind of agree with him that we have a property owner that's, willing to comply, and an engineer representing the property owner that's just been moving kind of slowly and not intentionally, I don't think, not dragging his feet to help his client or something like that, but just moving slowly.
Yeah, and to kind of expand on that, Mike, they initially hired another engineer. Who I don't think,
Who moved not at all. I
who
think,
moved
right?
not at all, yes, I don't think they had the
Wherewithal.
expertise in this particular realm to deal with this issue. So they came back to the township and to me and asked, hey, who should we use? And we never like to give recommendations, but in speaking with Rich, we gave them a couple of names and said, look, this person they deal a lot with sewage planning and a lot with sanitary sewers, design and pump station. They know how to deal with this kind of stuff. And in fact, Ebert was the engineer that did a lot of the planning and grease trap sizing for the Ellis Preserve and other projects within the township. So, like a lot of other folks, they're very busy right now, so it took them a while to get out and, do his site reconnaissance, put a report together, issue the report. So yeah, I'm just to reiterate what Mike said, I don't think it was purposely dragging their feet. I think it was just a matter of workload to get the report done.
Engineers.
I know,
I don't pain in the ass.
we bite off more than we could chew.
Okay, anything else for your report, Dave?
No, other than, there's another matter on the agenda tonight with regard to Hickory Lane Pump Station, so I'll save that part of my report until
Okay.
that agenda item. That concludes my engineer's report.
Thank you. All right, and operation report, I see that in our packet, we have the RHM flow figures as well as the KBX monthly reports. Is there anything, everybody's had a chance to review those? Okay, unless you have anything you wanted to highlight, Caitlin.
The only thing I
And
would
not-
really say or add to it is KBX, the few additional things that they did note on their report. We already discussed the bioxide systems. And I'm waiting for the Wiltshire generator to come in still. That hasn't arrived yet, so that's not in yet. And we are gonna address the Hickory pump station generator further
Issue.
in, yes, we're gonna
Okay.
talk about that again as well.
All right, we'll wait to hear from you on that one then. Thank
Okay.
you. Then moving on, consider ratifying the reoccurring bills paid on check register A dated July 21, 2025, totaling $7,470.34. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion from Steve, second from Walter. All right, any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next, consider approving the bills on check register B dated July 21, 2025, totaling $230,846.51. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Second from Walter. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next, authorize authority, staff and solicitor make the payment for the amount set forth in the settlement agreement regarding Rafferty. The exact amount will be ratified at the next meeting.
We could do it right now. It's $3,700. So the reason that this is worded as such is because it took us some time to confirm whether the estimated just compensation that we paid into the court was accruing interest. It was not, which as a lawyer, I appreciate because it makes the math a lot cleaner. I could do it with a calculator instead of, having to count pennies and take my toes out. So anyhow, $3,700 is the difference between our settlement amount, which included the tapping fee, the estimated just compensation, and this additional amount.
So can we say the net settlement amount?
That
is
settlement amount is
$3,700?
$3,700. Yep.
Okay, so with that in mind, we're asking for the approval of the settlement agreement with Rafferty for the net settlement amount of $3,700. All
Which can I just point out before you take your vote? these amounts we laid out when you initially approved the settlement, subject to my approval of an agreement. So this is more to get the check cut, I think, at this point than anything else. And the dollar amount hasn't changed since from what we discussed.
When was this settlement proposed? Was this?
Before you were on the board.
Okay, it wasn't ringing
Yeah,
any bells.
long
Okay,
time
so two
ago.
things.
We
One,
can, why don't I make the motion? And then we can then
Have some discussion.
after it's been seconded. All right, so motion to approve the settlement.
Second.
I've made the motion, Walter seconded. Okay, any questions or comments?
yeah, two, can I, from a compliance standpoint, can I adjust the language within the minutes for the proposal right here? Even though it's not verbatim what we voted to, I can make those minor
Even though
adjustments.
it's not verbatim what is on the agenda, the minutes should reflect that we've, discussed this and have these amounts in here. Now, if you want to change the wording of the motion, I think you can do that at this point.
Okay,
If we look at it, if we reflect on it, we'll just put it on the agenda for ratification next month if we think there's any issues.
okay.
So
And is it most appropriate if I abstain from voting on this since I?
I don't think it's necessary. I mean,
Okay.
you're up to speed at this point, or
Okay.
if you want to be more up to speed, we can do it now and.
No, I'm comfortable with the consensus of the group here.
Yeah, and I think it is important to note, though, I think that's a good point, Kevin, that, this was approved, at a prior meeting.
Yeah.
The terms were approved. It's just now we actually have the document
Yep.
that needs, signature.
Terms were approved with that dollar amount. The only concern was whether we would need to adjust a little bit because of interest.
Yeah. Okay.
But God forbid the county pay us interest on anything.
Exactly, yeah. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion passes. All right, moving on, consider refunding $392.05 to Jeffrey Beauchamp at 3408 Tyson Road for overpayment of sewer bill. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Walter makes the motion. I'll second the motion.
Second.
No, well, thank you, Steve. And any questions or comments on this one?
No.
There was information. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, consider discussion and possible action regarding Hickory Lane Pump Station. Who wants to take the lead on this? As we don't even know, we don't really have a motion with this particular item on the agenda. Did you want to start, Caitlin, or Dave, did you want to?
I would think Dave could give a nice overview. Just real quickly, because we talked about it last week.
Sure. So this is sort of in connection with the maintenance and the age of the Hickory Lane pump station. That pump station for the authorities' benefit, I understand, was one that the authority members toured recently. That pump station services the Newtown Heights community. That pump station discharges from a force main into the gravity sewer in Newtown Heights. Ultimately, is conveyed to the Camelot Lane pump station, and then from there is pumped out of the township to the CDCA and on down the line to treatment and disposal. So in connection with the issues that are ongoing with the generator and the authorities soliciting quotes to replace the generator, there was discussion during one of our staff meetings with regard to the possibility of eliminating the Hickory Lane pump station and connecting it to gravity sewer. Considering the relative cost of investing in an infrastructure improvement to the generator of being around $40,000 versus what it would take to eliminate the pump station, considering sewage planning, permitting design, and then construction cost. I think the authority is looking at somewhere around $250,000 to decommission that pump station, connect the gravity line to get it into what is now the old Masters pump station service area. Sewage planning would absolutely be required because you're essentially flipping pump station service areas. That mechanism is really a township endeavor. Sewage planning is the township's responsibility. So once the planning would be in place, design and permitting would occur for the sewer extension and decommissioning of the pump station. That will require a modification to the Part 2 permit for the old Masters pump station and require a Chapter 105 permit for a stream crossing, which would be on the property that's now situated between the gravity sewer and where the Hickory Lane pump station is. There would also be possibly an easement required depending on the route of the sanitary sewer connection at this time. So in the long run, obviously, it's cost effective in that you avoid having large capital improvement expenditures, but you also avoid having the $8,000 a year of pump station regular maintenance, not considering that there's any emergency services that are required, pump and motor replacements that are, larger infrastructure dollars. So over time, I mean, you're looking at a 15-20 year time period where you're going to be incurring additional large capital expenditures. It will essentially pay for itself to eliminate the pump station and connect it by gravity to public sewer. So that was sort of what was discussed at the staff level meeting we had last week. And that's obviously food for thought for the authority and consideration of moving forward with the capital expenditure for the emergency generator replacement. The timing for something like this, sewage planning is notoriously a long process and typically takes a 9 to 12 month period to get the planning approval. And once planning is approved, then you're going to design the system, go through your Part 2 permitting, and that could take another 6 to 9 months. So you're looking at really like an 18-month to 24-month process to get everything you need. And that's before you can even bid and construct the project. Now, this project being a relatively short run of sanitary sewer, it's not a really long project. It's something that could probably be done in 2 to 4 weeks time, construction wise. There is some ability to salvage some of the parts of the Hickory Lane pump station, considering the Tanglewood pump station is basically a carbon copy, has the exact same pumps and motors. I believe has this same size generator. So if the authority were to move forward with a new generator for Hickory Lane, we could in the future, when we decommission the Hickory pump station, salvage that relatively new generator, move that to Tanglewood, rebuild the one existing at Tanglewood, and use that elsewhere in the authority system on an emergency basis.
I have a question. Could we, we condition basically our approval if we were going to do that of the new generator for Hickory Lane on having it compatible with Tanglewood so that we absolutely knew that it would be something that could be used at Tanglewood? Should it be decommissioned? Should we, completely eliminate that pump station at some point?
So on the next agenda item,
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what I'm
you can-
wondering.
You can condition it however you feel appropriate.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain, I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't want to guarantee that it would work there, but the way I understand, the Hickory Lane pump station is using basically a 50 kW. I think they're quoted at 48 kW, which is kilowatt. For Hickory Lane, the Tanglewood pump station, although the pumps and motors are identical, the load at that station is not quite as extensive as it is at Hickory. And that the reason being is the pumps and motors at Hickory are operating on the pump curve at a lower efficiency than what's at Tanglewood. So by having a greater efficiency for the pumps and motors, it requires less power, basically. So I'm fairly confident with reasonable engineering certainty that what is being purchased for Hickory Lane will work for Tanglewood in the future.
Okay.
Can you give a rough ballpark of how much it costs to operate Old Hickory currently on an annual basis, including upkeep, and then how much this big CapEx bypass would cost? Just a rough idea.
Sure. So construction cost for this bypass would be around $210,000, somewhere in there. engineering, planning, design, and permitting would be somewhere around $30,000. So you're looking at probably roughly $250,000 when all is said and done to get that bypass implemented. On an annual basis, I think the conversation that we had last week was about $8,000 a year for just the regular maintenance at the pump station for Hickory Lane Pump Station. That's not including any emergency responses that KBX has to make, any large items that have to be replaced as far as components of the pumps or motors, and then obviously emergency generators are a big ticket item.
And it also doesn't include the regular expenses like electric and water that's used at that pump station either.
Yeah, we see our electric bills every month.
Or-
I mean, they're a lot, you know.
Yeah, so if you take the electric bill and just kind of divide it out by however many 11 pump stations, you get probably something pretty close to what Hickory would be using.
I mean, and with respect to the current condition of the generator, you know, it needs replacing, and we can't be guaranteed that, you know, if we, you know, try to repair it, that it wouldn't mean, you know, a replacement, you know, soon or further repairs. And when, you know, in light of the timeframes for, you know, carrying out the projects, at least with respect to the planning and approvals, for kind of the project that you were discussing of basically eliminating this pump station. I mean, in light of that, I'm not sure how the rest of the board feels, but you know, it seems to me we need to get a new generator there, and, you know, use, you know, reasonable efforts to ensure that it is something that we could use maybe at Tanglewood. And then, you know, have our engineer continue to work, in presenting us information and kind of moving forward with the ultimate goal of eliminating that. I mean, obviously,
I
that's
agree.
kind of
I think from a payback perspective, from an ROI perspective, it makes sense. The right thing to do is to eventually relocate that. In the interim, we're just putting Band-Aids on the generator. We don't know how long it's going to last. So we need a generator. If we can redeploy that somewhere else, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think of all our pump stations, it's the one that's probably the least accessible. For that, you know, that's just another reason that the long-term plan, I think, should be to decommission it.
I think if the numbers make sense, I mean, what I think we need to do a further exploration about what our CapEx actually
Yeah.
costs us there for the pumps, for the generator. Because I mean, if you're looking right now, $250K all in to save $8K a year on operating, that needs to go up in order for it to make sense, right? We have to account for the generators that we replace, the pump that we inevitably replace, the upkeep of our path in our area and the
Yeah.
township costs. So we need to flesh those numbers out a little bit more and make sure that it actually has IRR.
Is that something that, you know, Caitlin can start to pull together for us, maybe with your help, so that we get a better
Certainly, yeah.
idea?
And I think it's important to note that right now that pump station, I think, was constructed in the early 2000s. So we're 20 to 25 years into the pumps and motors at this point. We've already done replacements of some of the motors out there. We've implemented VFDs where we put, you know, a couple $1,000s into that.
I see what Kevin's saying, like, if you look at kind of these basic numbers,
Yes.
but then I think if we look at other things that have gone into maintaining this pump
Right,
station.
yeah.
I think the concern is that you're at the end of the useful life of the equipment inside that pump station, right?
Yeah.
So that's gonna affect your numbers significantly.
And the generator is only a portion of this station,
Correct,
am I
yes.
right? So there's
Yeah.
other equipment there.
So for comparison, when I reached out to Gorman Rupp, who is the vendor for all the pumps and motors we did for the sewer project, Hickory Lane Pump Station is one of the pump stations in the township that have Gorman Rupp pumps and motors. They were done obviously well before the sewer project, but the same vendor is the one we talked to. And this is in connection with the proper sizing of the emergency generator. We wanted to confirm that 50 kW was correct. It seemed to be
well oversized for, that particular size pump and motor. We actually had our electrical engineering consultant that we work with take a look at it. They went through a generator sizing and confirmed that the 50 kW was the appropriate size for that station. But and this goes back to some of the tours that the authority took for the newer pump stations. So some of the newer pump stations don't have emergency generators. They have an engine driven pump. It's an emergency pump. When the power goes out, that engine starts and powers that pump. Instead of having full power for the station, it's just, it's another third built-in redundancy on top of being an emergency pump. So it's identical pump, but it's an engine-driven motor for the emergency backup. That particular system for Hickory Lane would cost $85,000. So that kind of gives you an idea. If we were to have to replace Hickory Pump Station, we're looking at probably something comparable to, $300,000-$400,000 all in. I think the least expensive pump station on the overall sewer project was about $800,000, and that was the Springton Point Estates pump station. And that would be something that would be comparably sized to Hickory Lane. It's a 35,000 gallon per day pump station, similar to Newtown Hunt, which is all the way up off of Wayland Road, White Horse Road. That pump station similar to Springton Estates, and that one was a little bit more because we had different aesthetics and we had a bioxide system that was a little bit different at that pump station than at Springton. That one was probably around $1 million, all in. So just when we're looking at, there would be some salvage value to Hickory Lane. Those are all things that we'll take a look at. I'll work with Caitlin to get some of the other costs pulled together, and we'll look at pumps and motors, what we can salvage and take to use it at
Yeah.
Tanglewood if we have to.
Yeah, and maybe a little, just something in our packet for next time,
Mhm.
As far as, some projected cost to replace the.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll look at another alternative route versus having to, obtain an easement. We may have some additional length of sewer line and maybe another stream crossing permit. We'll compare what that cost would be versus pursuing the alternative with the easement.
Yeah, because tonight we're not gonna be voting on anything having to do with that kind of larger project, but I think it gives us a decent amount of information and background in order to determine, whether or not we would like to vote on the next item, which is consider approving the lowest bid from Mardelli. Am I saying that right? Mardelli. Contract number 8-E22 849 to replace the generator at the Hickory Lane pump station. I'll make the motion.
Did you want to add a condition to that motion?
Oh, yeah, and I did want to add to that, conditioned upon the generator that's being purchased being comparable to the
Compatible to the tank?
compatible to the Tanglewood generator, and therefore in the event that we do decommission the station, that it would be usable and compatible at the Tanglewood station.
That's a
So
great idea.
that's my motion, and Walter is seconds the motion. All right, any further questions or comments on that one?
No, use the
It just seems if we're looking at a 2-year window, we gotta make sure this is operational.
Right,
You know?
that's,
We don't really
yeah,
have a choice.
yeah,
Right.
it's just, so that was really good information. Thank you so much, Dave, for all the detail. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next, consider authorizing municipal authority engineer to stake out the property lines and easement at 312 Echo Valley, and I think we are just going to table this matter, or not table it, but we're not going to take a
Just
vote
not
on this.
act on it.
We're not taking any action on the next one. Anybody has any other issues or comments on that? Okay. With that, I have nothing else on the agenda. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
before 8 o'clock.
Yeah, good timing.
The minutes will reflect 7:59.
You're getting good. I like what you do. Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I'm so sorry.